Good day, my friends. Okay, as we know, layer ones is where people try and hold on to a narrative. Hodl, Bitcoin, digital gold, Ethereum, the main highway where most of the crypto apps run. We've got Solana, super fast, super cheap to use, and then there's BNB, special coin from the biggest exchange out there. So the question today is spot ownership. Now, I say when you're in USDT, say you sold, you're technically still in a trade, which means it needs to be managed. I sold at 125, as you guys know, my BTC, and I need to I'm asking myself the question, is it safe? Is this the dip worth buying? If so, what can I do to try and maximize my USDT trade? Now, if this tickles your fancy, something you want to consider or maybe want to watch, you know what to do. Hit the like for the algorithm's sake. Subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when I do go live again, and share the video with a friend. Why not? Let's not try and get as many people onboarded into Bitcoin as it is dumping. Let's give them the facts so they can make a responsible choice. Right. Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, as you can see. Well, let's just say hi. Good morning, Renee, and for everybody else joining in live, good morning, guys. So Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, the following thing for me. If I look at this analysis, I'm torn between two minds, because there's the fundamental maxis that's saying it's going to go, it's infinite, limited supply, and it's going to go moon. And then there's the other side. There's the sailor crowd that says it's basically going to, because he's got so much, it's going to dump. There's the Epstein files. It's called pedo coin. It changes the spirit of what the direction Bitcoin developed in, because one of the key node operators are in the Epstein files, and so there's a lot of controversy around Bitcoin and crypto right now. And for me, the main thing is, I always say, question the bubble. We had technological advancements. Think of the internet and the email. It was there long before. But what we needed to get mass adoption, to create the dot-com bubble, is we needed everybody's getting internet in their account. So the infrastructure had to catch up to the technology. Now I'm asking myself the question, has the infrastructure caught up to the crypto technology that we've had? Okay. Bitcoin's peer-to-peer payment, is this mass adopted enough? Those kind of questions. And then we also need to say that, well, the stories we told ourselves for buying and holding and hodling, hodl's not a strategy, but hodling, was based on where we were years ago. Has the environment around us changed? Sometimes we get hung up holding on to something, a dream, a belief. And although at the moment we made that choice, this is Bitcoin and I'm going to invest for 30 years because it's going to go to $1 million a coin. Although that was the idea, things might have changed. Technologies evolve. People's attention go elsewhere. And we want to do that responsibly. So when I look at the chart, I'm asking myself from a fundamental point of view, what's the upside, what's the downside, but also from a technical point of view, what's the risk? Now, today we're going to lay out the risk for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, and maybe one or two requests. So drop them in the comment section, and then we're going to go there. This is bear market in its fullest. There's 11 people watching live. Normally, there's a couple, that's 100 or so. So the people just checked out. Okay, I don't care anymore. My account's wrecked. But if you're watching, like me, you're doing this, you're trying to make this for a living, you need to take this time serious. Okay. Now, weekly time frame, what do we have? There's a little bit of education. Typically, 5-wave, Elliott wave, impulse. It's easier to identify it on the RSI. There would be your first wave. There would be your strong bearish divergence. Okay, you can see there, moving price back down to a low, and then that would be, just start again. First wave, strong bearish divergence, so that would be your 1. Then there's a bottom, that would be your 2. Then where do we have? We've got divergence sitting right there, and then there's the lower high on the RSI, so that's your 3. And then there would be, typically that would then not be your 4, and this would be your 5. Now, TA works amazing. When you look back at the past, applying what it is, in the moment, it's always hard. And I distinctly remember, I highlighted this many times for you guys, that the hidden bullish divergence between 2 and 4 is very weak. And this makes me question whether this is indeed the fall. Now, typically, when you're done with 5 waves, what will follow is an ABC correction, which means you will have an A that looks like this, a B, and a C, if it's equal legs. And it could be the case. But if I'm being honest with you guys, we will typically, on the 3 to 4, have the most choppiest time in the market, meaning you'll have something that looks like this. W, do. And it means that this could all be all part and parcel for the fall. And there's still that little 5th wave. Statistically, there's also the argument that the 5th wave doesn't necessarily then needs to be a higher high. It could be there. But let's just humor this for 1 second. What if we get it wrong? What if this was just the local top part of a trend and this is only where the fall is? We do have hidden bearish divergence. We do have an overbought RSI. We do have, from a technical point of view, enough reason to say that if 60 holds, there will be a bit of a relief rally. And we do have enough narrative fuel to trap more people. Now, what will hurt most people, or what will be the most painful thing when we look at Bitcoin on this is that we understand that the market trades against 3 types of people, whether you're an investor or a trader. 1 is the greedy ones. I'm just going to put a G down there. G for greed. 2, the fearful ones. You can. And then 3, the smart ones. Smart ones, we'll get to last. Let's talk about the greedy ones. I normally refer to them as break-even traders. Why? Because they don't take profit. Now, if you look at this move, who would this suit best? The greedy ones. I just want this correction to be over so that we still go and make that 140, 150. That's the greedy ones. So where would the greedy ones lose? Where would they give up? Well, I don't know. Delete hidden bearish divergence, 30. Have they bought so cheap? That would be the tricky scenario, that they buy so cheap. It's hard. But this is the area where the greedy ones will lose, between 50 and 30. So if you want to take them out, the market needs to sell off a little bit harder. The second group is obviously the fearful ones. Now, how do they go about this? Fearful ones say they're the losing traders. They're the losers because they act emotionally and say, well, I don't want to miss out on whether the move is to the upside or the downside. I'm scared of missing out. FOMO. Okay, fear of missing out. So if we look at the fearful ones, what will fearful ones be doing right now? Well, clearly we're trending down. So the fearful ones will be shorting right now. And in order to take them out, what needs to happen is price needs to go up. So to take the greedy ones out, the buy the dip bastards, okay, price needs to go down. Let's make this blue for the greed ones. And then for the fearful ones, oh, I don't want to miss out on the short. Bitcoin's going to $10,000. They're going to try and get in late. So that's where the bears are going to be hiding. And now this brings us to the third group, the smart traders, because now we know if it goes up, it's going to hurt one side or the other. And it's also like a duh moment because it's like, yeah, obviously things can either go up or down. That doesn't help me much. But here's the third way. The third trader is the smart trader. I understand that there's TA. I understand the accumulations and distribution structures. I have a little bit of a foundation of Elliott wave and Garn and so I know how to navigate myself. So what will I do? I will try and position myself amongst this. So how would the market then hurt me? The way that it does it is by delaying the move. Smart people know what is going to happen, but they're too soon. They're always in a hurry, and they want it to happen now. So ask yourself whether that's the case, because think of it like this. Bitcoin gave us not 1, but 2 great divergence scenarios. And when it was in divergence, it gave you from May all the way till November to sell the top. You didn't, because you're smart. That's where it gets you. Okay. Now, my anticipation for where we are right now is to say that it's the same thing. The smart ones are going to get punished the hardest right now. Let's make that color. I'm going to go purple. Let's make it purple. If this is what's going to happen to the fearful ones, the market's going to pump to take them out of the short. And the greedy ones, the market needs to dump and get them out of their liquidation or liquidate them. The smart ones are going to be somewhere in here. Now, I'm feeling and I'm saying relief rally because nothing will go down, even if it's full on bear market in a straight line. But this is where the punishment's going to be. It's going to be choppy as hell. Which brings me to my conclusion of where we are from a fundamental news technical analysis way. Fundamentals tell you what will people do if you're buying on a narrative. It's very simple. If I'm buying on that Bitcoin's going to go 10,000, I need to get my ass in a short. So we need to act and react on them. If you're saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million, I need to get my ass into a long. And then we need to act. So where do we need to be from a smart point of view? We need to be patient, and we need to short when we're in this area where their stops will hide. And we need to long when we're in that area where their stops will hide. And then what we need to do is be patient, because it's not going to happen now. We're not going to get a pump or a dump for a trending point of view right now. Moves like this needs time. The market needs to position itself. Let's end off with Bitcoin then. We're going to go into Ethereum real quick. I'm going to clean up all this drawings. How do we take this and make actionable information for ourselves so that we can ride the trend? Whether we're predicting it's like this, meaning there's still more upside coming, or whether we're saying, no, it's over and it is this. One thing is sure, predictions doesn't really help us much, but taking things level by level does. And where's the next important level for us? Weekly time frame. We've got all these gaps where price is going to move in. So the fearful ones, the greedy ones, they'll probably get squeezed first. And if I want to pick a side on which side is going to get squeezed first, I have to wait until the end of the week to see how this weekly candle closes. Because if it closes above 70,300, we can say the shorts will get taken out. If it closes below, we'll probably first go for the longs. And that's it. That's how we need to plan for ourselves. Okay, now let's look at what we need to do from spot ownership. I've got USDT. I'm saying I want to now know what I need to do from a USDT point of view. In all fairness, right now, given all this information, what the worst thing you can do right now is to act. Simple as that. Just don't act. Hold your USDT. If you're in Bitcoin right now, this is a completely different. And remember, guys, I can't give financial advice. All I'm sharing is hypotheticals, talking through scenarios so that you can go and have a look at where you're at. You have to do your own research. You have to be responsible about this, guys. HODL is not a strategy. That's HODL. What's the point? Okay. HODL is not a strategy. So where we're right now, that's the conclusion for Bitcoin. Now, there's one additional thing that I just want to share with you guys that's consistently sitting with me and bothering me. Monthly time frame for Bitcoin. We're still far from being bearish right now. And if we look at the momentum, though, here we had a scenario where there was considerably lower momentum for the high, which signaled a violent move to the upside. Here we have a scenario where you can see momentum is running out, and now we've got a very fast move to the downside. What will hurt most people is if we do this, move to the upside. And it will just reset and reaffirm that narrative that I should just hodl and then move down. That's the worry that I have with this. So if I'm looking at this monthly time frame, it sits horribly with me. But I know that 101 from a monthly point of view is a critical resistance area. So relief rallies, if you want to subscribe to that notion, if you get a buy, 100 be part of resistance, guys. That's psychologically, there's the potential for it. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Okay. Now let's have a look at Ethereum. Let's see what we want to do. So what I will do for you guys to try and navigate this, in the Discord, there's the spot trade group. I'm going to create a thread where I'm going to keep posted on my actions regarding Bitcoin. It's free. You can just go and sign up and join the Discord. It's simple as that. You can go check it out. Now, if you want to support the content, what you can do is you can open an account, and you can actually go to BitMart. They can give you an extra $610 if you comply with their rewards program regarding deposits, regarding trading, and so forth. Guys, go check it out. My link does give you that ability to unlock that. Okay. There's 2 more days left, so make sure that you go and check that out. And if you've done that, in my Discord, in the navigation section, you can just claim your role. And what that will do is, if you have either one of these roles, you will be able to at least then chat as well. I want to keep the Discord safe, so I don't want any spammers in there, because there's guys that join and just, I can help 10 people make money. They can't chat. So if you're a legit guy, you'll get the role and you'll be able to chat within the Discord. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, it's just read only. You're just going to view it. So that's that. So the charts from now on is going to be posted in there, and I'll keep the update. And the same is going to be happening for Ethereum, Solana, and BNB. Let's look at those charts real quick. So now, this is all doom and gloomy. Let's turn the tide a bit, and let's get a little bit positive now. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Where's my Ethereum chart hiding? That's right under Bitcoin. There we go. Now, Ethereum, guys, it's a tricky thing with Ethereum, because Ethereum has gone through, I'm going to go weekly time frame again. Ethereum is in a lateral range. It's not seeing real upside, which supports the idea that the crypto bubble is running at an end. Meaning, being in USDT is not a bad trade to be in right now. If the narrative that blockchain is going to change the world has died down, because remember, it's a hype driven. This is all hype. None of this is sustainable gains. That's why when you see stuff like that, it basically almost really reverses everything. It's hype driven. This time the hype was weak. So if we completely honest with our Hodl narrative, we had insane hype. It saw 10,000 X's, and we all sang Kumbaya as we were counting our millions. Now, because everybody was greedy, they didn't take profit. Greedy people or break-even traders. You're back at where you're at. And now you're asking, well, I'll just wait it out again. And that's where the hurt is, because if the hype is gone, what's to say that this is going to go and look for what is a fair valuation for Ethereum? What is fair? Because we don't know. The market is always asking the question. It's never sure. If it was sure, it would have been a stable, so it would be a flat line. There's no surety. Everything gets questioned 24/7. Bitcoin failed a test. It was hailed as digital gold. Digital gold sorts ass. Simple as that. Gold's digital gold now. Why? Technology caught up. You can do with gold on gold coins these days what you couldn't do 4 years ago. So the narrative has changed. So we have to just be responsible here, guys. So say the same thing. What has changed for Ethereum that could mean that the hype is gone? Because it's clearly gone. Can it accumulate? Can we say and hold on to that narrative that it's going to maybe go on for a few more months, a few more years? Yeah, but if we stop falling victim to predictions and we trade what the market shows us right now, clear trend, let's look at where support is, and then we'll reassess there. So Ethereum as a spot, we're sitting right on top of support area. The RSI is definitely range bound. As you can see, we're all over the show. This thing hasn't been trending up or down for the last 4 years. Where's the liquidity waiting? If you're going to be honest with yourself, there. Now, I don't want to venture a 10K Bitcoin, but it's like when I said Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was at 15,000, I said 125 looks reasonable. From a technical analysis point of view, statistically, it looks like that. And I stuck to it. Now I'm saying the same thing. A 10K BTC looks reasonable. Purely if I look at the charts. So what is reasonable for Ethereum? $300, $400? That should scare you. Now, taking these things level by level, though, from spot ownership, being in USDT trade, you have to almost believe that that trend's going to last forever. That's how you sell a top and stay out long enough until it proves to you it's over and it starts going into accumulation. Buying the dip or dollar cost averaging is a fool's errand right now because it's just going to hurt you. Wait for this thing to hit resistance and short it if you want to try and make money off it. Okay. So upper end of the range is clearly defined. The buddy indicator does that for you guys. I mean, the support and resistance levels on this is clearly defined. And we fell below the midpoint. Now, if I were to Wyckoff this, one can argue that this is a distribution. But if you study Wyckoff, clearly Wyckoff says while we're in this range, you don't label it. You can anticipate it. And then if it's a distribution, what would this be? This would be where your phase A ends. Okay. Preliminary stop, buying climax. So that would be your BC. Since then, people didn't FOMO in on this thing again. Then what does it do? It gives you an automatic reaction. A rally is to the upside, the downside is a reaction. Means that because there's no more liquidity, no more people buying in, the order book is basically stacked against everybody, and it reverses really quickly. And then we create support. Once we have that support, we will then have our demand liquidity. This would be the area where demand liquidity lives. And then the next logical phase would be starting. So now you've got your phase A. This takes you to phase B. And what phase B does is it says building a cause. Now, if you build a cause, it means why is this thing range bound? What's the purpose of it? Asking the question. Is the narrative holding strong? Is the narrative being weak? Is the adoption driving price? Or is the adoption inflated? Think about it. They say there's more wallets, there's more everybody, more everything being locked in daily. But does that drive? Or is that people adding to their savings? Is there people creating a secondary wallet, a third wallet, a fourth wallet to protect yourself from scams and so forth? Is it all just adoption? Because if it was, why is the hype not there? Why is the driven not there? So you have to ask yourself these questions. And then you need to ask yourself from a bullish point of view, with what's that guy, Peter, the guy that's now buying 50,000 ETH again? What's his Lee? I don't know what the guy, not Lee, what's this guy's name? Same as Michael Saylor, East Michael Saylor. Are they buying in on the narrative, or are they trying to just trade the trend and get everybody wrecked? Because remember, good marketing means I need exit liquidity. I need FOMO and hype, and they will drive that as long as they can. So if that's the case, what would this be? This would be phase C. Phase C is your shakeout. In this instance, shakeout from the bear's point of view. Price will drive through the upper end of the range and then immediately fall below that. Following phase D. And what is phase D? This is the scary one. Trend within a range. And now we have that trend within a range. We don't have phase E though. That's trend outside the range. So the betting man of me and saying being in USDT as a trade is a really good thing right now, because what you're doing is you're trying to get out of this. And you're trying to wait for this thing to do this, to try and short the hell out of it. Because that little part there, when it goes to $1,000 to $400, there's a lot of gains to be had there. So being patient right now to wait for this thing to kind of clear itself up is fine. And if we build a good structure and we break a trend, there could be a relief rally back to $2,800. Just like there is more upside for Bitcoin as well. But you cannot look at this and not see, you know, the danger signs out there, the fact that people have checked out, the hype is gone. You have to be responsible here. Let's have a look at Solana. Solana. Now, this is a little bit more where, you know, all the gamers and all the other adoption, everything occurs there. But if you do the same thing, we say again, look at the weekly time frame. What do we have? Top, climax, A, and then an insane secondary test, which means that this thing's range-bound environment puts it back down into $20 as a fair valuation for Solana. It makes for a tough chart to read this way, to be honest. And like I say as well with TA, you know, you can always manufacture whatever you want to do with this. So let's try and be as impartial as possible and say, okay, right, let's use that and say that that was a cycle and maybe that's off. Just like we did with Ethereum, we can do with Ethereum. Still, what you have is the exact same thing. Phase A ends there, or it ends there. Then this is phase B. Building the cores, and then the upper end of the liquidity gets tested. So phase A, then phase B. Then you have your shakeout, phase C, and then you have your trend within the range, phase D. And now, if we're looking at it like this, any move to the upside, say back to 100, is get your hell out and short the sucker, phase E, continuation. If you're looking at the bigger picture, it means that you still need to be patient because we will probably go and test these lows, then only go and die, if that is the case. So it makes for a tricky one. Yet again, I don't want to predict. I want to take things level by level. The critical levels are lost. This is bad, guys, and Ethereum will probably follow suit, and other coins as well, for that matter. So upside relief rally needs to be met with the required or the necessary resistance. Don't just sit there and hodl, it will be okay. It's not a strategy. You're going to get yourself screwed. Okay. Not financial advice. I'm asking you to go and do the research and see whether the hype that we had that drove all this adoption is clearly still there. I am questioning it and saying it's not. Therefore, I need to lean and pick a side. I'm allowed to be bearish. Why? Because I sold when it was the right time. And I'm also allowed to be bullish at certain levels for that reason, because I can then absorb the risk. But just because I'm bullish or bearish at a specific level doesn't mean that you have to be. You have to consider where your entry is and how it pertains to you. That's why there's no financial advice. And that's why I don't want people to get trapped here. Okay. So Solana, big picture, it's going to die. It's as simple as that. For now, things can change, but for now, treat it like that. Let's have a look at BNB, because BNB was the strongest one. The previous cycle, it barely retraced. This is why I'm bullish on Hyperliquid long term, because Hyperliquid, in my opinion, is the next Binance. And if there's utility in value, hype and all the other stuff will follow. Yes, we're back on where the last divergence was. We're back in this area, and oh yes, from 1,300 back to 600. It's down 50%, Rudo. This thing is falling. But in all fairness, you can clearly see there's utility here that's adding value to the network that's driving this. Fall below this area, you will question utility and say, well, maybe that is still overvalued. And then your attention needs to go back down to 224. But for now, that's the narrative. Guys, I will create these 4 threads, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and B for you in the spot trade group, and I will keep you guys posted there. So take note of that. Okay. Now, that's the general play, which means if I take this as a fractal, the hopium for today is to say that hype has got the same potential possibilities as Binance. There's utility behind it. It's just too soon to know. Weekly time frame, it's in infancy. If you look at this from a 4-hour point of view, it changes the perspective a little bit. But yet again, 4 hours does not create a long-term trend. All I'm saying to myself right this moment is we've had resistance, we've had support, okay? We have rejected at these areas, okay, great. But we created more support and hype short-term will probably go and test these areas It's now HODL spot ownership. So now you're in USDT, waiting for a test. Once we break out, you want to convert your USD back to HODL. Because what have we done? We've made a higher high. We've taken out the seller liquidity there. So the fact that it's retracing is just par for the course. And from that point onwards, this could potentially be, look at this beautiful RSI. This could potentially be the completion of wave 1, 2. So now predictions again, 3, 4, 5. And that is there. And what do I have fundamentally to support this? Well, there's utility. It's being used. It's earning an income. It's creating revenue. It's burning. Okay. There's a reason for this, a physical reason. That's my play. Guys, 31 minutes. Thanks so much for taking time. Statistically, YouTube says you watch about 10 minutes of the feed. So hopefully you'll get your correct 10 minutes that you need to do. I don't see any requests. Everybody is basically checked out. We're done. So I'm not going to need much do anything around that bit. But that's it. Let's see what you guys are saying. Zenodiac, ever since I've learned how to short, I no longer panic seeing red. Red's your friend, man. That's good. That's good. Let's see what Crypto Q. Does anybody know what happened to Lee? Haven't checked in a long time. Lee isn't here, my friend. It's just me. And yeah, let's see what else. Good morning, Kilian. Hope you're safe back in Germany. Let's see what else. Could resist took a long on river. 1 hour looks good to me. I'll buy. I want to talk a little bit of scalp trading. Okay. Scalp trading time frame, guys. What you need to do is you need to be on the 1 hour, 15 minute, and then you want to try and get in on the 8 minute. I'm going to use the buddy indicator. And again, guys, if you open your account, BitMart or Bybit or PrimeXBT, there's a trial for the indicator as well waiting for you there. So make sure to use it. And there's guys that claim it every day. So take advantage of that. The buddy indicator works as follows. It takes me and you out of the equation, and it leaves you with just the following 3 things. When we analyze a chart, coin, whatever the case, you want to look at what the trend is. Think of it as the direction of the river. But then when you want to cross the river or get into the river, you want to know how deep the water is. That's your momentum. And obviously, when you're in the water, you want to know whether there's obstacles. That's your structure. Is there support? Is there rocks that can push you in a different direction? Meaning you're going forward with the water, and then you hit a rock and you ricochet back. Is that the kind of stuff that stops you out, catches you off guard? And if you have those 3 things, you'll know what kind of raft to use. That's when your strategy comes in. You can't do this without those 3 things. That's what the buddy indicator does for you. So let's have a look at this now. Where is my river chart? There. So we're going to start off by just looking at the river, using river. And if I look at we use the buddy indicator, it basically tells me from a trend point of view. I'll make the text a little bit bigger so you guys can follow along. Trend, it's still up. The trend is bullish. Since $13, we've had a bullish trend. It's telling you that the depth of the water of the river, excuse the pun now, every time I'm going to say river, is good. It's healthy. Momentum is healthy. And it's saying to you that structurally, we've had divergences there. So this is where more support entered river, meaning you had another stream connect up with this river now. And it's driving more. Now, because of this, you have a very simple spot way of looking at it. I'm bullish as long as we stay above the structure. Now, if I want to trade this, Buddy's now given me my higher time frame bias. Means analyst-wise, hold, swing, longs, or buy. Great. Let's then take this and have a look at the 15-minute, a quarter of the time. When did we turn bullish there? We turned bullish right there. So we've got harmony. All the analysis, everything is pointing in the same direction on the smaller time frame and then on the higher time frame as well, which means we've established and we've confirmed and locked in our trend. So we've got our biases sorted out. Then all that we need to do is ask for a wave, because if this is the case, what will happen is you will have a wave, and then there will be a retrace. Inevitably, there should be one, and then you'll have the rest of your impulse. Now, it could be that this is near the end of it. So let's just, for this argument's sake, say there's going to be 5 waves in that direction. Where we are within the structure, I don't know. And if that is the case, what are we waiting for? Within that, there needs to be waves, and that's what we want to try and trade. Okay, so let's take this and move it over into our scalping time frame and paste it. Scalping, what do we do? The 3-candle rule works as follows. I'm going to put an alert on for that, just to show you how effective the indicator is. Sorry guys, clicked on the wrong button there. Use the buddy. Tell me when we turn bullish, because I want to know. Okay. Click on the message, the 3-candle rule. When the analyst candle color changes from blue back to orange and back to blue, that's your strong bullish signal. You want to enter the long immediately on the return to blue. Okay. Obviously, it works in the opposite direction for bearish. You want to place your stop at least 3 candles back, 3 to 5, depending on the size of the alt. If it's a small cap alt, I'll go 5. Okay. And then use the momentum analysis text box guide, adding to positions in the bull bear setup. So we'll look at that, and then take profits when momentum starts slowing or reversing. Now, if I have a look at this and I say to myself, okay, 3-candle rule, we were blue on everything. You wait for the orange and then this. It means that the argument is that this is what we have now. And we would have entered there, in there, 3 to 5 candles back, which would frustratingly might have run your stops in there. This is the thing with the small alts. Let's say you manage to navigate that responsibly. There's the move and there's the momentum. How do you track this? As long as we stay above that speed fan, you hold, you hold, you hold, and the analysis will as well. The analyst will as well tell you to hold. Okay, simple as that. 3-candle rule, guys. 3-candle rule. It's as simple as that. That's everything for me for today. Now you know where we are with River. River, we want to be bullish, scalp time frame wise. Have a lovely day, guys. Make sure to tune in again tomorrow, or alternatively, definitely on Friday, for more content regarding trading, education, and let's say mindset. Nothing in this channel or on this video can and will ever be financial advice, because we all have different starting positions and we're all in different, find ourselves in different positions as well in life. So take these things, apply them responsibly, and do your own research, guys. Question the hype, question the bubble. Have a lovely day. Cheers, everybody.